Hello, Josh here from Racing to Profit. Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this. I'll try and sound motivated and excited. I am motivated, but anyone that's read the blog over the last few days will know that I've had an absolute nightmare, an absolute shocker. Some positives of always, there's always positives when you're close, but frustrating when you're close. And I could have literally had every winner of the races I've played in, but have bottled it. Have made the wrong decision, have agonised over odds around sixes, fours, um, have been swayed by other people's opinions, including the odd trainer quote and blog post. Never, ever again will I read them before I make a decision. You'd have thought I'd have learned that a long time ago, but clearly not. I'm going to talk through some. This isn't going to be a kind of pity party video. Don't worry, I'm not going to get out the Opus Dei kit again. I should probably put a new one on mail order from the Vatican or something. And kind of flog myself for what was a poor show. It really was poor. Dereliction of duty to some point. How I haven't landed on any of the winners in the races I focused on, I don't really know. So I'll talk about some of those. As always, this kind of review video, I'm going to try and keep to 20 minutes. I know that's the ideal length. I'm going to talk through a few of the races, some of the horses that caught my eye. I'll do the odd video, over talk video of the replay, of the race replay, talk over even. I'll get my words out eventually. And yeah, I'll try and do this in one go as always. Where do I want to start? Some of the stats did all right. Maybe not on day one. As always, these kind of trainer pointers, research from the blog post you may have seen, kind of pointing the way to some degree. Captain Tomcat there for Newland. He did fairly well on the horse race based ratings for some of you who've watched previous videos, or if you've read this trainer pointers report, which is in the Daily Post, worth reading, looks at horse race based ratings, handicap hurdles, field sizes. So if you see those symbols in any blog post, they're there to kind of help you solve the puzzle as well if you wish, but you can see the various percentage of races won. There's some stuff on position in the weights, market position. What else we got? Pace, race position, last time out winners. So yeah, some pointers there. As always, a big part of what I do, including these videos, is to try and help you find more winners yourself using some of my content or some of the comments or other tools and resources you use. So day one, not too bad. Day two, the course winners pointers did okay. Those 11-1 SP short, the Botox Haas, Frodon. More on him in a minute. Some of the trainer pointers didn't do well. There's Frodon again, clear top rated on horse race base, miles clear as well. The trends pointers didn't do too bad. Well, they didn't cover Frodon in that race, but they did cover Honest Vic. And if you watch my video preview, I'm sure I kind of focused on those three there. That's where I was angling towards. And then, of course, I talked myself out of one of them and backed the other two. The story of the weekend. But you need to learn lessons, so I'll try and make any reflections useful on that front. Where am I going to start with? Looking back to try and highlight something of interest. Protectorat's race, decent performance, not under pressure. I won't get overly excited. Off a mark of 143, an RPR of 150, progressive, going the right way, jumped really well, wasn't really under pressure. I will be keeping an eye on Elf de Ray, who is likely on his next start to hit my trainer profile angle for Sandy Thompson anyway, but he's worth going into the notebook. Went fairly well for a fairly long way. Looked like he got tired, possibly outpaced. I think 2 miles was short enough. It was his first run back. He wasn't exactly strong in the market, but he was a 135 animal, 140, 143. So I suppose on terms of ratings, he's finished where he should have done. And yeah, here's one I think he'll strip fitter next time. Possibly a novice handicap chase over 2.5 miles. So that's one to look out for. Do go and watch that back if you want. I'm going to scoot over to Cheltenham. Where are we going to talk about? There's been some talk about Galvin for the National Hunt Chase. It looks like he's going to be put away from that in the festival. Of all those that ran at Cheltenham over the last few days, if there's going to be one you'd have confidence it's going to be run a big race at Cheltenham, come March if you want to look ahead to such things, which I'm not exactly overly keen to do. But Galvin would be one. He's not the biggest. He jumped very well. He's got a turn of foot for a stayer. He'll probably have Jamie Codd on, won't he? And he can just potter away, especially if it's a small field national hunt chase. He's going to run a big race, isn't it? Provided it isn't an absolute swamp. What else? There was nothing really. Captain Tomcat, another. Is it Killian Leonard? Member, or one of you messaged me or something or other. Talking about Leonard's record when he rides a Dr. Richard Newland horse for the first time is pretty good. If you've got stats software out there or you like looking at such things, do have a look at that. But he's a jockey going places. That was a wonderful ride. Sat in second, then took it up. That was very good. De Bestiman was going to win the Lanzarote, I think, was he? I'm doing this live. He went off at a big price in that context. Yeah, this race here, hopefully you can see, Kempton race, he was going to win that when on seating in the last. RPR 125 against his mark there. Was his second run. Maybe he's just run up to his form there, but that was a decent enough effort. I thought Up the Straight was good. He took a keen hold. He was towards the rear. The fact this race was won by a horse that was close to the pace and then took it up may suggest he wanted a stronger pace. He's a fairly small yard in Richard Rose, a fairly unexposed horse. I wonder if 3 miles might be worth a go for him, because he was staying on to the end. I think he could be 135 maybe workable for him. Our Power travelled well for a long way before getting tired again, like a lot of Twist and Davis horses. Not good if you've got a Twist and Davis angle that you're following on the blog. It's been rather painful. It's been profitable for us for 2 or 3 years, a various mix of angles, not so at the moment. I'm not sure if they're a bit behind, if he's decided to change tactics, make them prolong and do better kind of in December, January, or he's lost some good staff, some good work riders, which are vital to helping with fitness. Not quite sure what's happened there, but a lot of them aren't firing and they're kind of running well to a point and fading. So I do not want to assume they're all suddenly going to bounce out on their second run back, because I'm a little concerned there might just be issues with the string. Maybe some of them are under the weather, I'm not sure. But a lot of those that travelled well then kind of hit a hole. 2-3 furlongs out, their next starts are going to reveal plenty about the yard. He has had the odd winner, of course. So that's that race. So yeah, the jockey Killian Leonard's worth highlighting there, and a couple I've just touched on. I think Rouge Vif sent off at 5s. Oh, the pain. The pain. I have the night before gone, Rouge Vif looks big, 9-2. He's going to be the bet. I've woken up. I've looked at him at 4s. Why have I agonised and talked myself not only out of him and okay, let's leave the race, but into On the Slopes and Beat the Judge, who have ran well, but Rouge Vif's obviously better than a handicap. He was coming this off 156, RPR 157 there. He was stepping down from an Arkle where he didn't really like the soft ground, but still ran third. I went with horses kind of well on the slope, was stepping up from Class 3 novice handicap chasers. That is a big, big class difference. I've said if he even just runs up to his mark handicap debut, he's going to be the one to beat. He was 6. He was entitled to have grown and matured in the off season. His trainer has always said he was going to be best on better ground. Twice that he faced going with good in the description, he's hacked up. Many of you will be watching this having rightly backed him. Many of you will be watching this, hopefully I haven't talked you out of backing him. He was another for the danger horses. So many of my write-ups this weekend. The next horse I've mentioned, I've tried in my write-ups for my tips and race previews to now order them in order of preference, or kind of when I've crossed them off. But as you get to read how I write and how I describe things, you can probably sometimes read between the lines, and kind of the agony of deliberations jumps off the page. But anyway, we can't beat ourselves up too much over that, although I will. Beat the Judges ran well. He will have more handicaps in him. His RPR here 143, but I want to see him over 2.5 miles now. I think he's worth that step up in trip. He took to these fences okay. He got a bit too far back. He got a bit outpaced. but he's stayed on and he's been closing all the way up the hill to the line. I still think, he's 5. He's had hardly any chases. I'm not sure if he's got much scope. He's flatbred, but I would like to think lesser track maybe. He's one keeping an eye on, and possibly a further trip will let him kind of bowl along a bit. Dolos has travelled well for a long way. He's won the same race at Sandown the last 2 Februaries. That may be the plan. They may want to get his mark down a bit. I'm not sure. He is on a high mark there. He is pretty hard to place, but he travelled well there, like a horse that's on good terms with himself. It was his first run after a wind-up. He has blown up as if he needed the run, possibly, deliberately legitimate handicapping, getting his mark down, because he'll come on for the kind of 2 or 3 starts we shall see. On the slopes, does have a question. You would like to think he's got more in him because of some of his form from last year, especially in one of the festival handicaps, which was the race before, where the 2 ahead of him went on to win festival handicaps. He ran there as if he would need the run and come on for it. It could be he needs stepping up in trip this season. That's open for debate, or a fast run, 16, 18 furlongs. I won't lose faith with him, but he does have the odd question now, but you would like to think he's got an okay handicap in him. There's nothing really. Is there anything else I want to touch on? Wild Max is unexposed. He travelled well for a long way, I thought. You can watch that back again. He was hampered by the faller when Stern Rubin came down and thankfully got up, I think. Badly hampered, took him out of his stride. Maybe a flatter track, maybe somewhere like a Wincanton. I thought that he travelled like a well-handicapped horse there. May well come on for the run also. So maybe out of those ones, he's the one that I would kind of take forward with interest from that particular race on his next kind of 1 to 3 starts. If he's going to do anything from that mark, it's going to be on his next couple of starts, you would think. So that's that. Saturday. I'm doing this mostly in my head, so hopefully I kind of remember to cover everything I wanted to. What do I want to say about the 240? Just how Southfield Stone, another first start after a wind-up. We shall see how high he goes. It might be he's just a 150s horse. I'm not quite sure what he's beat here. Pillion, or however you pronounce the Hobbs horse, he has made an awful error at the first fence, and he's mentally just been shot for confidence after that, poor horse. He has never jumped. I expect him to have a lesser contest, lesser track to try and get his confidence back next time, and hopefully he does. But Southfield Stone has jumped very well. He's moved like a good horse, and he's just hit everything on a stride. That jumping, I think, will put him in good stead wherever they go next. But he's one keeping on side. Could be that he has an okay handicap in him from this mark. I do like how he jumped in that race around Cheltenham, possibly not under loads of pressure, but he looked like he knew what he was doing in his own mind. Now we get to the 2 painful races. Oh, look, they finished next to each other, the 2 I went for. A bit disappointing. I'm not convinced, actually, that's a lie. Champagne Court has something okay in him. I think on decent ground over 3 miles. Schofield in, where is it? One of these books, Jumpers to Follow, Paul Ferguson's. A few interviews with decent jockeys. At the back, he's one of Schofield's horses to follow. The fact he's pulled him out from all the horses he would have ridden and could have pulled out is interesting. He does have some good form to his name. He looks like he needs 3 miles. It looks like connections think he's best on soft, but even if he needed the run, he was back from kind of 14, 16 into 8s. Even if he if he did need the run, I kind of thought, given how he'd gone on his first return here at Chepstow, on his first return here over a trip too short, that he might be fit. Maybe the yard's not firing. Maybe he did need the run. Maybe he hasn't stayed. He has questions. I should think they're going to switch back to fences after that. And the next 1 to 3 starts, or next couple of starts, are going to tell us plenty. If the Sky Bet chase is the target, maybe they are working back. So that's something to keep an eye on. I'm convinced he travels like a chase. He's got more to come. He's only 2 from 4 over fences. But then you do look at some of these RPRs, and they're not massively ahead of where his mark is now, so questions, we shall see, but he's due to be open to progress. Another warrior's got issues possibly in his head. So Robbie's ran well. For info, he's 5 from 8 at Utox. There are proper horses for courses horse. Whether or not they find another opportunity there, he's travelled well for a fairly long way. On his Vic, simply, I've agonised and got one wrong over price. He is 7-1 when I've looked at it. I do wish he was his SP when I looked. He had a great record fresh, as you can see when you go through. I tipped him at Cheltenham, where he ran as if he ran well. He did, that this race here was no Grade 3 Cheltenham Festival handicap. There's no black tears, damned campaign, however you pronounce. I'm useless at these pronunciations, aren't I? You can tell I was naff at GCSE French. The Henderson horse, the Charles Burns horse, none, just deep festival handicap hurdle form. The yard were in form going into this. He's made sevens look good. I've tried to be a smart ass. Let's ignore sevens when it's a great price and try and find a couple that are double figures. He's put in a stonking RPR, as you can see there. He's absolutely hacked up. Can he win again? We shall see. He has relished the 3 miles as he had shaped and suggested he may do. Winning form in a National Hunt flat race, that's always some indication that one day they may get 3 miles. Just quality form, record fresh, looked like he was well handicapped. He had £3 claim. He was below that mark. He ran well at Cheltenham. He was staying on again at the end. This was a much weaker race. Fitness wasn't going to be a question. The only question was the trip, and for some reason I've agonised and talked myself out of him and into others when I could have gone, is he going to be short than sevens? Could you back at Betfair starting price, which has ended up at about 16-1. But a few things there in terms of just festival form, record fresh, especially this time of year. He's going to find it tough now, and I'm not quite sure what he's beat. I'm not quite sure if I want to take much from it, although Locks Corner has swung through that as if he has races in him off this mark, maybe back over fences, but he's one possibly worth looking at when he's back in handicap chases, and he hacked up on one of those before this. So yeah, the Hobbs horses are still a bit hit and miss. What else do I want to say about Frodon? Maybe I'm not going to watch all these replays, or maybe we'll just put on him just because it's just
softened a little bit.
Glorious, isn't it? Isn't it glorious if you kind of like jumps racing? Let's just focus on, look at this, ping, stride, ping. He is taking a length out of generally seasoned handicappers at every fence. It's just glory, ping, see a stride, and he's just majestic. I knew he'd be there. Cobra de Meyer has been well backed from the Wednesday, 20-1 into 5s. Maybe the ground has gone against him. Maybe Frodon has just broken him. He is well handicapped now. He is going to win another handicap chase when he gets decent ground, headgear on. I kind of think he might be better over medium distances, mid trips, 2 miles 4, 2 mile 4 and a kind of 5 furlongs, but he has won over 25 furlongs at Cheltenham April a couple of years ago, so keep an eye on him, but he probably is a talking handicapper now. He probably won't be missed. The ground's probably gone for the Lavelle horse. Cloth Cap has travelled well. Another superb jump, just taking lengths out of them. Cloth Cap's travelled well, surely has a good to soft, good ground handicap chasing him soon. They will want him to run in a national. They need to get his mark into the low to mid 140s to get into that. It's Hemmings. He needs to be winning chases, so he has to be trying his best on his next few starts. He's going to have to be well placed because of the ground. Maybe he could be one for the Sky Bet chase, a more aggressive ride, because he doesn't half stay. I thought he ran really well here, jumped really well. The great Trex horse, Bob Marler, he always needs 2 or 3 runs to warm up and get going. So note him down. I should think he might need another one, maybe a run after that. He needs decent ground. He's a bit of a lazy sod. He might need further. It'll be interesting what they do. Maybe they are aiming him at the National. He could be one for the Ida. I could possibly see that if the ground is good. But yeah, he needs decent ground. Look at Frodon again. Class. Like Rouge Vive. Miles clear top for anyone that uses horse race base ratings, which is some guide. Top weight, the weight didn't matter, the mark didn't matter. That jumping, taking a length out of the field at every fence, has helped him just save energy. He probably was 90% fit. And I've read Paul Nichols's kind of, he's burly, he'll come on for the run. I've looked at 5.5s, and that's convinced me to just back Cloth Cap more for me. So another winner we could have had. I'm going to take some positives from being close. but plenty of negatives from not landing on anything. Really was poor from me. But yes, a lot of the write-ups, the stats, pointers, and various other things were hopefully useful, and I hope many of you out there made much better judgment calls than I did. So we could watch that again. It's worth watching. It's just glorious. Watch it all the way around if you like jumps racing, if you like chases. One to watch. The Noel Williams mare was scrappy, not in great rhythm for most of it. Was a tough ask. She is, I'm not quite sure if she stayed, but she's unexposed over fences. He will find races for her, possibly back in mares. She may well have needed the run. Look, she's coming up there, running okay. Paddy's trying to get her into a rhythm. Could Rich have been a bit more kind of active here? Maybe the horse probably will come on for the run a bit in the ground. Wasn't necessarily ideal, but he jumped well. So I probably talked about that well enough. I do not want to get lured into Frodon as a kind of Gold Cup horse just yet. He's won a handicap here. Yes, he's won it well. He hasn't really beaten much as such on the day, but we shall see what they do with him. I do not blame the owners for tilting at the Gold Cup. I probably would if he was mine. I would consider the Grand National as well. Maybe he won't get home, but this ability just to sit and lob on the front over those fences can get you a long way in that race, and then you would see what he had left in the tank, kind of 2 out, 1 out at the elbow. Of course, with the discretionary handicapping, he's probably going to be up there, isn't he, along with Tiger Roll with big weights to carry. But, we shall see. So anyway, some thoughts there. Man of the Mountain's probably still got another handicap in him. Back on decent ground. Maybe one for the spring, one for the Red Rum or something. Maybe they'll find a race for him before that. But he needs decent ground and possibly still has another race in him. Anything else I want to focus on there? Not so much. Let's jump over to Aintree, where it just got worse, really, for my inability to make the right decisions. Martin Stewart, big congratulations. Picked Manila Celebration in the comments. You'll read my write-up. You'll go the danger horse. Who's the main danger horse? Who's the horse I probably should have picked but didn't, because I agonised again over a 6-1, 13-2 when I had a question. What was the question? Ground. It was only a question. He'd run very well at Doncaster in a vets race, nearly won. In soft, he'd got form on good to soft. He'd won a hurdles race back in the day on heavy. He was 10. He was in the form of his life again. He put up he was coming on the back of this on a win. He had great course form. He tracks the pace. He ticks so many boxes. As I knew, he was miles clear top horse race base ratings. It does just get worse, folks. Apologies for just rubbish. Yeah, so, his run, his race. What I will say about this, actually, is if you watch, I'm not going to be one of those awful after timing idiots, morons, but when you do watch chases a lot, you can kind of pick up, and especially if you've highly considered the horse, how they're travelling. And pretty early on, you'll see post, I said, just look at how he's travelling in Ben Post's arms. It's kind of strong, enthusiastic, but controlled. He's got hold, but the horse is loving life. His hands are down on his neck, but he's having to keep hold of him. He's a horse that's travelling with a lot of strength. I think he was kind of 4s 9-2 in running at this point. You can just tell that he's a horse who, when you've analysed it, is probably going to go pretty close, but that's enough of that. I've made an awful call in not putting him up because the price did allow for the one niggle he had, because he didn't have any other niggles. And again, maybe another reiteration of 10-year-olds in vets chases. If you can look at them, make a case for them, they are generally the age group to stick on. I went for Venetia's horse here, who had been whacked in the ratings. He had to prove a class. And Joe Farrell, I also went with. There's a chance the hard races at the back end of last season have actually left a mark. I thought he'd run a lot better than this. He was never going. Maybe he didn't take to the cheap pieces. But you can see here how Manila Celebration with Ben Post's arms and how the horse is just lobbing along. You just know at this stage that if he jumps, he is going to go so close. He's having to pull him back after every jump. He's pinging it, etc. So that was another woeful decision from me. And we will finish as I tick around 24 minutes. What can we take from the old Rowan other than another abysmal decision? I did 16s. My instinct when I first looked was Nutswell, and then I've gone, surely he's not going to be good enough. Is the ground going to be too soft? He should have been a half a point each way, better worst, really. Why? Let's say something useful other than a pity party, which I promised I wouldn't do. Just because, like Manila Celebration, a winning machine. He was 6 from 17 over fences, 11 from 38. He's a 9-year-old who has just come into his own, and he just could not stop winning. And as I've said in previous videos, look at these RPRs against his mark. 140 does a 152, 146 does a 157, 152 does a 158. 152 does a 161, which is a career best. He was fit. Seasonal return, probably come on for the run. I write's a half decent horse. He gets the trip. He handles the ground. Soft isn't a problem. Why are you worrying that ground's going to be a problem? He was top 4 horse race base ratings, comfortable little slot, numbers to back up his performance levels. But these RPRs, is he well handicapped? Well, from what we can see, yes. Is he going to run his race? And if you watch the videos of those back, he kind of grabs into the bit of the final couple of fences and he wins, and he looks like, and he travels and he jumps like a horse who's still improving. And he was 16s because of his connections. If that's got a Nichols by his name, he's probably 7s, maybe 8s. Clondor Castles ran a good race, has a good record fresh. Itchy Feet, I'm a bit on the fence. Does he have the scope for chasing? Is he big enough? That's the question. Watch the replay back. I've never seen him in the flesh, so I might be talking complete nonsense. I'm not sure if he's big enough necessarily. He is 154. Could he get have a handicap off that? Maybe tough. I'm not 100% sure with his scope and size whether he's going to reach grade 1 level open over fences. I hope he proves me wrong. Old Grangewood, who I've ended up going with, I could have just backed at 2. He was a 9-year-old after Windop last year, possibly getting better, but maybe his mark is about right. But he travelled into that smoothly, hit the front possibly a bit too soon. He's bungled the last. I don't think it's cost him in the end. I was excited. I thought he looked the winner kind of all the way up the straight. Not to be, and then Nutswells loomed up and left me crying into my tea. Well, it wasn't tea by this point of the weekend. Oh no, it was 2 o'clock at Aintree. Maybe it was. Moving on. So there's some things there to take away and just kind of profiles. He was fit, in form, he looked well handicapped, he was going to track the pace. Was he going to be good enough? But he was 16s in a race where Old Grangewood may come on for the run, Itchy Feet may come on for the run and have to prove they've progressed in the off season. Clondor Castle's solid, and some of these only okay so-so form. So yeah, there's always lessons to learn. That was generally my worst weekend I think I've ever had for race analysis, in the sense of being close, which is a positive, but bottling it, making the wrong decisions, making awful judgment calls around value at the higher end, top end of the market, which I've always been rubbish at, and I need to try and find a way to be better at it. Is it a case of trying to take one from the top in that 7 to 8 range and one near the bottom, especially when you've looked at the race before, you've looked at the market and you've made a judgment, and don't agonize over that 13 to 2, 6 to 1, 5.5s. But also, in saying that, need to give yourself a chance where you land on the Nutswells at 16s, 18s, because generally in big feature handicaps, they are the price points to play in, I suppose, 8s through to 16s, maybe, and bigger. Loads of learning points there possibly, but I kind of need to start learning from them. So some things there. Of course, any comments always welcome below these videos. Any horses which caught your eye. Hopefully this video has been of some use. I've tried to keep it to 20. We've gone to half an hour, but I would like to think I've said something of interest, hopefully, and you're entitled to throw rotten fruit at me if you've followed me in with all of my selections. It wasn't a great weekend. We will try and do better next time, and by next time, well, on Sunday the members club's going to return properly. Adam Norman's going to return, is on board, pro punter, superb jumps, National Hunt Mind for some daily insights, tipping, and his superb exclusive notes from the north twice monthly. So we've got that to look forward to, and hopefully that will make the members club and my package a kind of superb guide or superb addition to help us all enjoy jumps racing over the winter even more. We shall see if you join us or how many do. But in any case, yes, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. I've touched on a few horses of note, interest, things to think about when analysing races, etc. And with that said, I will be quiet and leave you to get on with the rest of your day. I always say that just so I try and ponder whether or not there's anything else I want to say, but I don't think there is, because I have been talking for long enough. So I should probably get a drink before my voice goes. With that said, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. All likes on the video, all comments below are always welcome. Have a great week, and as always, good luck with any bets. This is Josh from Racing to Profit saying I will do better next time, and until the next time, this is bye for now.